Well, to say he's no Churchill is quite an understatement, really, I would have thought. I mean, the man has dithered, he's all over the place.
Donald Trump said that the Prime Minister is...
He's good at making the news, isn't he? He really is.
He really is no Churchill. He also referred to Diego Garcia as a stupid little island. What do you make of those comments? And you're very keen on British sovereignty. Surely there has to be times at which we can say no to an American president. And also, if I could ask Sir Robin and Clive, you've defected from Labour to Reform. You've said that they've abandoned sort of British working class people. Who do you feel that the Labour Party is for now? Thank you.
OK, I'll start with this. Well, to say he's no Churchill is quite an understatement, really, I would have thought. I mean, the man has dithered, he's all over the place, he's not a leader, he's a follower. His performance has been abject over the course of the last few days, added to which we haven't even got a Royal Navy that's serviceable anymore. So I'm not surprised he said what he said. Look, there are times to say no to the Americans, absolutely. You know, we should have said no a couple of times in the last 25 years. And of course, because Saddam Hussein didn't pose any direct threat to this country, they had to invent a threat. I would argue in the case of Iran, since the 7th of October, this country has fundamentally changed as a result of terrorism funded by Iran. And frankly, if this operation stops Iran getting a nuclear weapon, it would have been worth it. And I believe that very, very strongly. I'm normally incredibly nervous about intervening in foreign wars. I believe this is the right one. As far as Diego Garcia is concerned, well, yeah, I think the little island he talked about was another one, actually, not Diego Garcia. But his geography, Trump's geography on the Chagos Islands is not perhaps fully up to speed. Diego Garcia has suddenly become incredibly important. The fact that a British Prime Minister said no, and that 2-man planes had to fly 37-hour round trips, think about that, from Missouri to complete their missions is why he's so upset. What I would also point out, Catherine, overnight there's been a missive from the Mauritian Prime Minister in which he says that he believes America's actions are against international law, and he calls for an immediate ceasefire. And what that tells you is if the handover of the sovereignty of the Chagos Islands, including Diego Garcia, was to go ahead, an American president would need to ask a heavily Chinese-influenced Mauritian Prime Minister for permission, and it's perfectly clear that even after Starmer says yes, Mauritius are saying ceasefire, stop, no. And I think that will be the final nail in the coffin. You know, the government have made it clear all along that they do need American agreement. Jonathan Powell did a great job. He lied his way around Washington for month after month after month, saying there was a legal imperative for us to do this when it was never, ever true. If I was Keir Starmer, what would I do to mend the relationship with Donald Trump? I think that ship has sailed. I don't think there's any chance, and I think that relationship's been fraying for quite a long time. He did his absolute best with Trump, and to some extent, Starmer did his best the other way around too. You know, Trump has a natural love of this country, and of course we shouldn't agree with every single thing the American president says or does. We don't. But I do think the relationship is broken, and without doubt, the worst it's been for almost exactly 70 years. Yeah, I mean, look, you know, I'm a former commodities trader. I'm used to spikes in oil prices and coffee prices or whatever else it may be. I think the most significant development overnight for you guys at City AM is what is happening with Lloyd's of London. You know, for 300 years, that has been the global insurance market for shipping, including in time of war. And it's slightly grey as to whether the 7 big underwriting providers whacked the prices up to levels that were simply ridiculous, or whether even some contracts got cancelled. I don't know. But what Trump has done, or Besson, I suppose, probably in a sense has done, overnight is very, very shrewd, because they're going to provide reasonably priced insurance for all shipping to go through the Straits of Hormuz, because Trump too would be terrified of an oil price that rose and sustained that rise. His biggest pitch to American voters as the midterms comes up is it's costing you $1.50 less per gallon to fill up the car with gas. So that's why they've done what they've done overnight. But for you guys, I'd love to find out. I want to read tomorrow, what is the truth? You know, has Lloyd's of London, after 300 years, shot itself in the foot or not?
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that we will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HD videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.